Dear Vicky Blake, UK President, UCU, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. What does Öcalan mean for the Kurdish people? Why is Öcalan freedom is so important in that case?
So it's a really interesting question for me to try to answer from the UK, because until a few years ago, I didn't know anything at all about Öcalan. And I think that it was a combination of hearing about his plight and hearing about his imprisonment at a number of trade union events that got me interested and was horrified, actually, how fundamental it is that he needs to be released. But not only that, there needs to be a real return to proper peace talks between Turkey and representatives of the Kurdish people. And my understanding is that without that, it's very difficult to move forward, and it's just so much pain comes across, not only for Öcalan as an individual, but also for the Kurdish people. And I wanted to know more about it. I went along to some meetings that were held at our trade union congress, and also we have an event that happens in the northeast of England most years, which is called the Durham Miners Gala, and it's a traditional event where lots of communities that used to have coal mining, we don't have it anymore, but still come together and march and talk about trade unions and talk about campaigning for a better world. And we had representatives of the campaign come there as well, and it just really impressed upon me how important his case is and how important this campaign is. And wanted to find out more about it and wanted to find out more about the struggle overall. So it seems to me that the struggle to free him is emblematic of the struggle for Kurdish people for recognition. But I think that we have an awful lot to learn still about the campaign and about what's going on and about how we can be supportive.
Thank you. Why the UCU decided to support the campaign? Why do you think that Öcalan should be free?
So we decided to affiliate. We've done a lot of work. We do have a lot of international work that we do as a trade union. So we're an education union. We represent people working in further education and in higher education. So typically for students who are 16 years and older. But we have an awful lot of international work that we do, and we see that as absolutely fundamental to what a trade union is about, and also fundamental to promoting decent education across the globe. And we were aware of work that we were doing. Through that work, we were aware of human rights violations in Turkey. So that includes attacks on trade unionists, attacks on peace petition academics. But we really wanted to broaden out the work that we were doing to address the Turkish government's treatment of the Kurds more generally. So when I was looking into the Freedom for Ocalan campaign, it was the obvious starting point really for us to do more work, because it is a trade union-led campaign. So as I was saying before, our work on these issues will be shaped by the priorities that have been agreed by the Freedom for Ocalan campaign. But we really, really just wanted to be involved. And we've done some work with colleagues and comrades in Turkey, and we've been supporting them when they've been attacked, in pushing for democracy and pushing for academic freedom. And it's been very eye-opening to us. And we just really wanted to keep doing and building the work that we are putting in. And we do work on human rights violations around the world, but we just become increasingly aware of what was happening in Turkey, and Öcalan's situation just really exemplifies the struggle there, I think. So, we know that there are also other groups pushing on these issues, but we felt we really needed to be part of it. We really needed to be involved.
The 16 largest trade unions in Britain supports the Freedom for Öcalan campaign. It is said that close to nearly 7 million people that representation, and they all have been informed about Öcalan. So why is it still the issue not heard in the British Parliament, even against the inhuman isolation of Öcalan?
So I think that's a really important question. And I think we have to look more widely to how politics is operating, how the media operates with respect to politics, and the kinds of efforts that we have to silence our movement, the Labour movement, when we are trying to exercise our influence. So trade union influence on politics is reduced these days, even including, you know, on core trade union issues. And we often see trade unions vilified in the press. And there are countless examples of times where, you know, various media outlets have colluded in trying to portray trade unions as unreasonable, dangerous, even difficult individuals, when actually we are about justice for workers, justice for communities, and it's a very peaceful movement. So it is really important for us as trade unions we to remember that we do still have influence. And as you said, there are, you know, nearly 7 million members of trade unions in the UK. So we have a voice and we have networks that we connect to, and we can do a lot of work to make sure that the word is getting out across our communities, and to encourage people individually and collectively to put pressure on their members of parliament, on their MPs, to raise these issues more centrally. So we are really pushing for, we're pushing ourselves as a union and for other unions. We think it's really important to raise international issues, including in relation to the Kurds and Ocalan. And that's why we've wanted to be part of the Freedom for Ocalan campaign, because it's much stronger when you bring all those voices together and you have the space to educate people and bring people together on different kinds of events. So exactly as happened to me, actually, I learned about the campaign when I was attending a different event, and there was a meeting organised in the evening, and there's been meetings organised in lunch breaks about this campaign. And I was just so struck by it that it made me want to go and talk to more people. And that's how this works. And I think we cannot rely only on our governments to do things. That pressure has to come from below. It has to come from the people. And so I think that's why it's so important that as trade unions, we do keep linked in and keep campaigning on these international issues. And to remember that human rights is such a fundamental issue, isn't it? The clue is in the name. If we don't fight for human rights, we lose them. And if we don't keep up the fight and keep monitoring where they are being abused, things get worse. So if we say we are standing up for people power, for the voices of ordinary people, then it's absolutely imperative that we keep campaigning and keep our eyes and ears open on these issues.
It is a bit related with that question, but I would love to ask you that one as well. Is there any realistic effects of the British trade unions' Freedom for Öcalan campaign on UK policies on Kurds, actually? For example, in Britain, the PKK is still on terrorist list, and British-Turkish trade relations are getting stronger day by day. And Kurdish leader Öcalan is still under harsh isolation. So how would you like to evaluate that? Very short, very briefly for that one, please.
Yeah, it's really difficult. I mean, there are also other groups pushing on these issues. So we know that there are reports that have been made, and you know that there is work happening here. It's very difficult to get the UK government, and it's also very difficult to get the EU to put consistent and effective pressure on the Turkish government to release Öcalan and to restart peace negotiations. You see little bits here and there, but there's not really the consistency of that message. I think that Brexit, so you know, the UK leaving the EU, has made that more difficult, particularly because the UK government has been pushing for trade deals. And I think that is an important part of this picture, but that there is no reason for us to stop pushing and to keep raising the issue and keep asking the questions, to hold our government to account, because they need to hold the Turkish government to account. So that's, again, why it's more effective for us as a union to be part of that bigger campaign that brings several unions together, and we can put our energies together on that.
Dear Vicky Blake, UK President, the UCU, thanks for joining us. Thank you for your valuable comments today.
It was a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.